True strength doesn't come from power or weapons, it comes from love. A parent's courage, born from devotion, can defeat even the darkest enemies. Stay with us till the end. The night was silent except for the hum of the old car engine. Mark gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles pale under the dim glow of the dashboard. In the back seat, his 8-year-old son, Ryan, leaned against the window, clutching his worn teddy bear. The boy's eyes, heavy with sleep, blinked at the blur of passing lights. To Ryan, it felt like another long trip. To Mark, it was a desperate escape from a life that had turned into a nightmare. They had left everything behind: their small home, Ryan's school, even the neighbors who once felt like family. For months, Mark had lived under constant threats from dangerous men. When intimidation turned into real violence, he knew he had no choice. Tonight, he wasn't just driving to a new city, he was driving to protect his son's future. At every turn, Mark checked the rearview mirror, half expecting headlights to follow. His chest tightened with fear, but he glanced at Ryan and forced a calm smile. "We're going somewhere better, buddy," he said softly. "A place where no one can hurt us." Ryan nodded sleepily, trusting his father's words without understanding the weight behind them. By dawn, they reached a small town where no one knew their names. Mark found a modest apartment above a bakery, its warm smell a strange comfort. Life there was far from easy. He picked up odd jobs, cleaning, repairing, anything to keep food on the table. Every dollar counted, every meal was a small victory. Ryan, despite the sudden change, adapted with the resilience only a child could have. His laughter, though quieter now, was enough to remind Mark why he kept going. Yet beneath that fragile peace, Mark's heart carried a storm. He knew the men who wanted to hurt him were relentless, and safety was only temporary. Every knock at the door made him tense, every shadow on the street raised suspicion. But in his son's smile, Mark found strength. No matter what dangers waited ahead, he swore one thing: he would do whatever it took to protect Ryan. Because to Mark, Ryan wasn't just his son, he was his whole world. The bakery's sweet aroma drifted upstairs as Mark finished his shift, wiping sweat and flour from his hands. He felt a rare moment of relief knowing Ryan was waiting for him in their tiny apartment above. It had been a long day, but the thought of his son's eager smile always made the exhaustion fade. But when he pushed open the door that evening, silence greeted him. The toy car Ryan always left on the floor was overturned near the couch. The window was cracked open, curtains swaying in the evening breeze. Mark's chest tightened. "Ryan," he called, his voice trembling. No reply. The apartment felt too still, too wrong. Then he saw a torn piece of Ryan's teddy bear lying on the floor. His heart sank like stone. A folded note lay on the table, scribbled in hurried handwriting: "We warned you. If you want your boy back, don't run again." Mark's knees buckled. For a moment, the world spun and collapsed around him. He grabbed the note, his hands shaking, rage and terror boiling together. His greatest fear had come true: the people he had tried so hard to escape had found them. And now, they had taken his son. Tears blurred his vision, but anger cut through his despair. He had promised Ryan safety, and he had failed. Yet, as the weight of grief crushed him, a fire lit inside his heart. This wasn't the end. He would not surrender to fear. Mark searched for any clue, inspecting the room like a detective. Neighbors had heard nothing, but a delivery boy mentioned seeing a black van parked outside earlier. It wasn't much, but it was enough. That night, Mark sat in the dim kitchen, the torn teddy bear in his hand. His mind was racing, his body trembling, but his resolve was unbreakable. "Hold on, son," he whispered into the silence. "I will find you. No matter what it takes, I will bring you home." For Mark, the nightmare had begun, but so had his fight. The night was restless. Mark paced the small apartment, the note clenched in his fist, his mind replaying every detail of the day. Fear threatened to overwhelm him, but the thought of Ryan, his laughter, his innocence hardened his resolve. He wasn't going to let the Mafia win. Not this time. He dug out an old, hidden phone, one he had kept in case of emergencies. Years ago, before he ran from his hometown, Mark had been forced to work for the very people who now hunted him. He knew their ways, their greed, and their ruthlessness. He also knew their weakness. They underestimated him. To them, he was just a baker, a runaway father. But Mark was more than that. He was a desperate man with nothing left to lose. By dawn, he was on the streets, following every lead. The black van became his first clue. He asked the delivery boy again, pressing for details. "It went toward the old industrial area," the boy admitted nervously. That was all Mark needed. The industrial district was a maze of abandoned warehouses and rusting machinery, a perfect place to hide someone. His gut told him Ryan was there. Mark's hands shook as he approached, every shadow reminding him of the danger. He had no weapons, only courage sharpened by love. Creeping closer, he spotted two men guarding one of the warehouses. Mafia. His heart pounded. This was it. He needed a plan, but time was slipping away. Every second his son was with them was a second too long. Mark pulled back, watching their patterns, memorizing their movements. He wasn't reckless. He knew charging in blindly would risk Ryan's life. Instead, he waited, hidden in the dark, until one of the men stepped away to smoke. That was his chance. As the first light of morning broke through the clouds, Mark whispered a silent promise, "Ryan, I'm coming." The hunt had begun, and Mark would fight the world if he had to. Mark's heart raced as he crept around the warehouse, every step careful, every breath measured. The muffled sound of a child's voice pierced the silence. It was Ryan. His son was inside. Mark's chest tightened, but determination pushed him forward. Through a crack in the rusted wall, he saw Ryan tied to a chair, fear etched on his small face. Two men sat nearby, laughing, careless, their weapons resting on the table. Mark clenched his fists. This was his moment. He waited for the right second. One of the men left to answer a phone call, and the other leaned back, distracted. Summoning courage, Mark slipped through the side door. His eyes met Ryan's, and the boy's tears turned to hope. Mark raised a finger to his lips, silently promising safety. Moving quickly, he grabbed a loose metal rod from the floor. With one swift strike, he knocked the guard unconscious. Ryan gasped, but Mark hushed him gently. He rushed to untie the ropes, whispering, "I've got you, son. You're safe now." But just as they reached the exit, the second man returned. A gun was raised, the barrel aimed straight at them. For a split second, Mark thought it was the end. "Stop right there," the thug growled. Mark's body shielded Ryan. "If you want someone, take me. But let my son go." His voice was steady, fierce with love. The man hesitated long enough for Mark to swing the metal rod again. The gun clattered to the floor. Mark kicked it away, adrenaline carrying him through. With Ryan in his arms, he ran into the daylight, away from the darkness that had haunted them for years. The Mafia would keep coming, he knew, but that didn't matter. What mattered was that his son was alive, safe, and in his arms. That day, Ryan whispered, "Dad, you're my hero." Mark smiled, exhausted but unbroken. "No, son. You're my reason." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more motivational videos.